What I want to do, Kris, is really just have a brief conversation with you about your experience with the Thinking into Results program. Because you're a Hall of Famer, aren't you?
Well, I used to be. Now I started 3 years ago, opened my own brokerage, and so I've taken on a different role, building a company, and it's a lot of fun. And training, developing, and recruiting, and helping agents build their business that gain consistent results through personal performance and business strategies. It's a lot of fun. I love it. My introduction to this material goes back about 10 years ago when I met Tim Burgess, who gave me the book Think and Grow Rich, and met Bob Proctor and went to several seminars. And about 2 years ago, I spent a tremendous amount of money into myself and signed up for the Thinking into Results program, and now I share that information with other people. So it's been incredibly eye-opening for me. I love the material, and I love the message that it speaks. It's pretty powerful stuff, really.
How would you say that program helped you then? Like, just give us a little insight into where you were before that, then going through the program, what it did for you, and how that's now moving you forward with your business.
Well, the very first video about goals is really what I use as a catalyst for helping agents gain consistent results. One of our agents yesterday, and I was in Florida, as you know, and I got back. While I was down there, I came up with an idea that I want to know what our agents' top 3 problems are. What are their biggest pains? What is hurting them the most in their business? And I sat down with one of them yesterday, and he said, my number one pain right now is lack of motivation, and that is because he really fights me on goal setting. You know, he's got lack of motivation because he doesn't have any goals. And so Thinking into Results, the very first video talks about A, B, and C goals. I have that memorized. Every day I go after something I have no idea how to do, you know, and the how doesn't stop me. So that's the fun part of the whole journey. And so we have an entire month here dedicated to goals. It's October. We dedicate the entire month to the upcoming year's goals. So we are jumping off the diving board in January. So we're not looking back saying, well, what the hell happened? You know, where do I want to go? So we try to plan in advance. That's one thing that, you know, most brokerages probably hold their salespeople to a sales quota. Well, I don't do that. I hold them to a goal standard. Yeah. They have to and they must complete A, B, and C type goals. So we went out and formulated we have an internal content director here, and she handles all of our social media and our internal content, and we went out and developed our own goal sheet based on that first video in TIR. And our agents are to fill those out every October, and then they formally present them to me as though they're making a formal presentation to a company. I take goals very seriously. That video alone is the one that stands out in my mind as being very inspirational to what we're doing here.
With the Thinking into Results, it's not just about setting the goals either, is it? It's about the how is not the important part when we set the goal. The how's the fun part, that's the journey. Right. And the program actually guides us through the how, doesn't it?
You know, I think some people can probably look at it as a systematic approach. I try to take it as an emotional approach. I'm not the systems guy. My business partner handles that. I focus on the psychological aspect of growing a business. You know, Tony Robbins said, and I love this, business is 80% psychological and 20% operation. I'm not going to waste my time on the 20%. I'm going to focus on the hardest part, which is the majority of what businesses are made up of. And that's what Thinking into Results really does, is it gets into the psyche, it gets into the psyche of the business owner. It allows them to overcome the challenges that stop them from moving forward, which is a paradigm. You know, your paradigm, they hold you back. We help agents remove old paradigms and replace them with new paradigms that will propel them forward. To me, it's more of a psychological journey through the emotional. And of course, we're dealing with a consumer that's selling a very expensive piece of collateral in their life, and it's very emotional. So if our agents aren't strong emotionally, if they're not strong mentally, a transaction, it could cost someone hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and we can't have that. So as you know, as a result of the psychological aspect of TIR, it helps our agents perform better, and that performance allows them to move forward to greater things with their life.
I was going to ask you if you believe that the program's had an impact on your results and achieving the success that you've achieved, but I think I know what you're going to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been through the program 3 times. I then delivered the program 5 or 6 times for some of the agents here. I've been through the program nearly 10 times, and I look at my day to day. Like, for example, I just took 2 weeks in Florida. Man, I've never had a 2-week vacation in my life. I just turned 40.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. I got another business besides the real estate companies. I stood back and I'm like, I set a big goal for myself a year ago, and that goal was a C-type goal. It was, look, I want to be in Florida in January and February, and when I come back, I want both my businesses to be better than they were when I left. So I like to take action. I'm an action guy. I think that's part of the program, so taking action. So I left 2 weeks ago for Florida, and it was probably, the disconnection is really good. Well, that really wasn't the best part of it. The best part was sitting back and observing how the businesses operate with me not being there. And, coming back on Tuesday, I've never done that before. It's incredible. And I wouldn't have had, the how would have stopped me. The how do I do that? How do I do that? And, I didn't focus on how. I bought the plane ticket. I was out of here. I had there's people in place now in both the businesses that help it run, and I was able to see where some deficiencies were with me not being there. So I had to practice. You got to practice, and so you got to practice doing what you want to do. And it was a practice run because I want to be down there for 2 months. I'm a cyclist, and I went down there and cycled, and you just can't really do that in my climate this time of year and enjoy it.
What would you actually say to someone within the RE/MAX business who's got the opportunity to do this program?
I would probably ask them questions, because problem with programs like this and other programs is if the person receiving it isn't ready to take a step in their life, if they're not trying to go further or go beyond where they currently are, man, they're just wasting their time going in and listening to this material. I would probably ask them questions before I made statements, and then what I like to do is I like to listen. I'm not a big talker or a big showman. I'm more of a listener. So I sit back, I ask questions, I listen to what people say, and if they're blocked, if there's a roadblock in their business, if there's a roadblock in their life, if they can see that that they want progress, which I think every human being is seeking to some degree, this is the type of stuff that they need in their life to help unlock that door. But not everyone's going to be receptive to it, and I think that was evident as I was putting the program on here, is that we only had about 80% attendance for the sessions. The people who sat through it, I mean, they're the ones that are up in the 6 figures right now. But they're also the people that were ready for it. Not everyone's going to be ready for this. So you have to be somewhere in your gestation period in your life to accept this type of material, and not everyone's ready for it. So my first statement would be, I would ask some questions. I'd make sure that they're wanting to head in the direction of their life, that this material will help them go. This material should not, this material doesn't change how people think. It should influence how they think. It needs to be an inspiration. And I was talking to one of our agents just a couple days ago about they want to start a workout regimen. And so she came in with this great schedule and this big plan, and she had done this before. And my idea was, look, you did this last year. You plugged this stuff into your schedule. You did it for 2 months and you quit. But I said the problem is there's no inspiration or motivation behind what you're doing. It's not a schedule thing. You don't schedule fitness. It is a lifestyle. You live fitness. Your life becomes that way. So, I look very deeply into that, and I firmly believe that this material and learning material like this becomes a lifestyle. It is not a checklist item. It is not something you say at 9 o'clock, I'm going to read this book, or I'm going to watch this video. That's not how this works, because after 2 weeks, you're going to get tired of that.
It becomes a passionate piece of your lifestyle, and that's much more deeper than what the average person can really connect with.
You can ask anyone who's had some great deal of success in their life, and they will accredit something they did, read, watched, or understood as the reason why they got there. This particular material helped me get here because I think it's the basis for all understanding.